This video is going to demonstrate how to edit material once it's in your account, specifically the translation or the matching exercises that we've created in LOMD. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to log into an account. And imagine this is your own account as the teacher. You go to the material that you want to edit. So let's, as an example, say I want to edit something in Parsha Shmos. So I go into Parsha Shmos, I go into translations, and this would apply to any single assessment that you have. It's the same style of editing. Let's say I want to edit something, so I go into Perek Beis, and I want to edit Pasuk Daled. So I click on Pasuk Daled. Here's the Pasuk. Here's the translation, the way we in LOMD created the translations and how we broke down the pasuk. So let's say as a teacher you want to break it down differently, you want to translate it differently. What you would do is you would click on the edit button on the top right. There's always going to be an edit button on the top right of every single assessment. Now again, your students will not see that edit button, and that is because, just to be very clear, in all the lessons that they have, they will always see this black bar, and it's very important that they do. The reason why there is no black bar on these two is because I cloned them. As we've talked about in previous videos, how to clone a lesson. But your students should not be cloning anything. I wouldn't even mention it to them, but it is very important that the black bar remain on the top. And actually, if we go into a lesson that was not cloned, and we open up a pasuk, there is no edit button, and that's how it should be for your students. It's also very important to know that in order for you to see the reports, the students cannot clone their lessons, because that would then disconnect them from your account and you would not be able to see their reports. So when they open up their collections and their lessons, they should be seeing the black bar on top, and in your account you should not be seeing that black bar on top of each lesson. So let's go back again to Perek Beis. Let's open up Pasuk Daled. There's our edit button. So you go ahead and you click on edit, and then you go ahead and you click on the edit button again. What clicking on the edit button again does is it reverts the entire pasuk back to its original raw state. And by that I mean, here's the pasuk that we put in. We grabbed it from Dafka and we put it in. And here are the translation slots. As you see over here, we used 2 slots. A teacher has the ability to use up to 10 slots. So it probably does not pertain to a pasuk like this, but if there's a larger pasuk and you want to break up the pasuk differently, or you want to break it up into more parts, you have up to 10 slots to break up a pasuk, or a pasuk in Navi, or a Mishnah, or whatever you are editing. So for example over here, let's say I want to break up the pasuk differently. So I'm going to actually, what I'm going to do is, just to separate things out, is I'm going to grab the second part of the pasuk. So I left click. In order to do this, I hold down the left click button on my computer and I highlight. And then what I do is I do Control X in order to move it, and then I go ahead and I just drop it here and I go Control V. So I've just brought it down there. Now what I want to do is I want to break up this pasuk. So I want to break up this part of the pasuk. So, and his sister stood herself, and then I want to say from afar, I want to put that in the next line. So again, I go Control X, and then I click over here, and then I go Control, and then I click V, and I bring it down there. So now I've split up the pasuk, and his sister stood, and we put in brackets stationed herself from afar. Let's say I want to take out at a distance. I don't want that there. So I just simply highlight it. Again, I left click and I highlight, and then I just delete. I press delete on my computer. So, and his sister stood herself from afar. In order to know, so I want to take that now. So in order to know, so I just simply left click and grab and highlight. Control X. I click on that answer and I go Control V. So I'm just moving around the pasuk. And his sister stood from afar in order to know what would be done to him. Okay, so I've split up the pasuk the way I want my students to encounter the pasuk. I've also taken out something. I can also change words of the pasuk if I want. I can do all those things. Once I've done making my changes, whether it be in the text box, if you want to bold or underline something, and you have the ability to do that, whether it be in the answer box, wherever you make your changes, once you're done, you then go ahead and you click on the word buttonize. Okay? And when you click on the word buttonize, what that does is it essentially allows you as the teacher to reset up the quiz. And whatever now you click in the question box, which is the pasuk, and match to the answers is going to be considered correct. And if your students don't do it that way, they're not going to get it correct. First of all, you see that now it's broken up in the way you wanted to break up the pasuk. And now you go ahead and you click on Vatetatsev Achoso, and then you click on the answer. It turns green, and then you click on Merachok, and then you match it to from afar. Leida'a, in order to know. Ma Ya'aseh Lo, as you would want your students to do, and then you click on that. Once all your answers are green, you click on the word done once, then you click on the word done twice, the second time. And now, you always, once that's done, you always go back into the pasuk just to make sure that your changes have stuck, which they have. And you can be assured now that when your students go into their account, whenever that may be, that day or the next day, this is exactly how they're going to encounter the pasuk. So again, the beautiful thing about Lom Day is that you can take all the material and either leave it as is, or very simply, as I just demonstrated, make changes to whatever pasuk you want, or whatever Mishnah you want, or whatever you are going to be asking your students to go through. You can make those edits. And if you decide to make an edit and then you see for whatever reason that you want your students are not getting it, or you wanted to actually change it again, you can simply just click on the edit button again and make those changes. One other thing I wanted to show you in what we call the translation assessment, these are all translation assessments or matching assessments, is you also have the ability, if you want, and this is something you can add in theory. If you click on the edit button, we went straight to edit beforehand. If you want to add another question within this pasuk, as an example, you would click on the add button. And what that does is, it gives you the ability now to ask another question. So that was our first question. Now we have a second question if we wanted to ask. And you would put in whatever you want in your text box, and you would match it to whatever answers you would want, and you would do the same process. You would then click on the word buttonize, you would match them all, and you would save it. And then when your students would open up that pasuk, they would have 2 questions to go through. And you can actually add usually up to 10 questions. Again, depending on how many questions you want to ask per pasuk or per assessment, that's totally up to you. But if you wanted to do that, I'm just showing you that you can add another question in the translation, or what we call the translation or the matching assessments, and that would apply to anything. And I'm just going to remove it now. You can always remove something. So if I click remove and I press confirm, I'm back to my one question that we had before. So that is the process of editing, and I press cancel. I go back into the pasuk. There's my question as how there's the pasuk, and this is how we edited it and how we set it up. So you have the ability to go into every single pasuk or every single assessment and be able to edit it. And again, this applies to the translation, or what we call the translation or matching module.